Have you ever wondered why some people in their 70s still walk briskly, think clearly, and enjoy life with energy, while others of the same age struggle with fatigue, memory problems, and rapid physical decline? The truth is, aging doesn't just happen. It's not simply a number. It's deeply shaped by the choices we make every day, especially after age 70. Doctors and geriatric specialists are now sounding the alarm. There are 6 daily habits that silently speed up the aging process in seniors over 70. These habits often go unnoticed because they seem harmless, but over time, they rob older adults of their vitality, independence, and joy. Let's uncover what these habits are and why they are far more dangerous than most people realize. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. 1. Sitting too much. The new smoking for seniors. It often starts so quietly. Just a little more time in the recliner after breakfast, a few more hours in front of the TV in the evening. Before long, sitting becomes the norm and movement becomes the exception. For many seniors over 70, this isn't laziness, it's comfort, routine, or even necessity. But doctors are raising a red flag. Sitting for prolonged periods is far more dangerous than most people realize. In fact, it has earned the haunting title of the new smoking. Why is it so harmful? When we sit for too long, especially as we age, the body's most vital systems begin to shut down. Blood flow slows, muscles weaken, and joints become stiff and inflamed. The heart, once strong from decades of activity, begins to lose its rhythm. The lungs don't expand as deeply. The brain, deprived of oxygen-rich circulation, becomes foggy. Over time, seniors who sit too much face a significantly higher risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, stroke, and even early death. But the damage isn't only physical. Mentally and emotionally, too much sitting creates a kind of invisible decay. It leads to apathy. It fuels depression. It weakens motivation. Many older adults start to believe they just don't have it in them anymore, when in reality, their bodies are simply responding to prolonged inactivity. One of the most dangerous effects? Muscle atrophy. After 70, muscle mass naturally decreases, but when the body is stationary for hours a day, this process accelerates. Balance becomes compromised. Falls become more likely. And sadly, one bad fall can be the beginning of permanent decline for a senior. Yet, there is hope, immense hope, because the solution is simple and incredibly powerful. Movement, not marathons, not intense workouts, just consistent, intentional movement. A slow walk around the block, standing and stretching during commercials, light gardening, chair exercises. These small efforts tell the body, I'm still here, I still care. And the body responds in kind. The truth is, your body still listens to you, no matter your age. It just needs a reason to keep going. And while sitting too much may feel harmless, it's a quiet thief, stealing vitality day by day. Reclaiming your energy begins with one step, literally. But movement is just the beginning. What if the very thing that keeps your body alive isn't a muscle or a bone, but something far more invisible and far more powerful? Let's talk about what happens when you lose it and why it could be the most dangerous habit of all. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now let's move on to point number 2. 2. Poor sleep. Aging the brain at night. There's something quietly tragic about a sleepless night in old age. The house is still, the world is dark, and yet the mind races or the body aches. For many seniors, poor sleep has become a normal part of life, something to endure rather than solve. But what if we told you that each restless night is doing more than just stealing your energy for the day ahead? It's quietly aging your brain and body in ways that are both profound and irreversible. Sleep isn't just rest, it's repair. During deep sleep, your brain flushes out toxins, including beta amyloid, the harmful protein linked to Alzheimer's disease. Your body releases growth hormones that rebuild muscle, restore tissues, and strengthen your immune system. It is during sleep that your memories are filed, your heart gets a break, and your mood is reset. But without enough quality sleep, especially after 70, this entire system starts to fall apart. Scientific studies now show that older adults who regularly get fewer than 6 hours of sleep are at a much higher risk for cognitive decline, dementia, depression, high blood pressure, and strokes. The brain becomes foggy not just for a day, but permanently. The body begins to feel heavy, coordination slips, and emotionally, the world starts to feel more overwhelming and less joyful. The most terrifying part, many seniors have no idea that poor sleep is the root of their suffering. They blame age, they blame memory, they blame the aches and the sadness. But often the true culprit is the quiet breakdown that happens in the dark, night after night. It's not just about falling asleep, it's about staying asleep. It's about entering deep, restorative cycles that allow the body to do what it was beautifully designed to do: heal itself. Unfortunately, as we age, these deep cycles become harder to reach, especially if we drink too much caffeine, rely on afternoon naps, or stare at screens late into the night. But the good news is the body remembers how to sleep. Sometimes it just needs help finding its rhythm again. A consistent bedtime, a dark, quiet room, gentle wind down rituals like reading, music, or prayer. And in some cases, a conversation with a doctor to address sleep apnea or other hidden conditions that steal breath and rest. Reclaiming sleep is not a luxury. For seniors, it is a necessity for survival and for dignity. Because once the body sleeps well, everything begins to work better. You feel lighter. You think more clearly. You begin to remember who you are. But not all damage comes quietly in the night. Some of it grows in silence during the day, in the absence of something even more essential than sleep. And what you're about to discover may be the most dangerous habit yet. 3. Social isolation, the silent killer of the elderly. There's a kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being alone, but from feeling forgotten. For many seniors, especially those over 70, days can slip by without a phone call, a warm conversation, or even eye contact. At first, it may seem like a quiet life, peaceful, still. But underneath that stillness lies something far more dangerous: social isolation, a silent and deadly force that doctors now rank alongside smoking and obesity in its power to destroy health. What makes it so dangerous is how invisibly it works. The heart, once strong from decades of living, begins to beat a little less steadily. The immune system, once reliable, weakens. The brain, starved of stimulation and connection, starts to dim. Neurologists have found that seniors who live in chronic isolation have a 50% higher risk of developing dementia, and their risk of death increases by 29%, not from an illness, but from the absence of human touch, laughter, and love. You see, the human brain is wired for connection. We were never meant to grow old in silence. In fact, studies now show that social engagement protects the aging brain better than crossword puzzles or memory games. A single heartfelt conversation can light up parts of the brain linked to memory, emotion, and learning. But without those moments, without purpose, interaction, or being seen, life starts to feel heavy. The days stretch long, the nights even longer. Isolation also affects emotional resilience. It makes sadness linger. It heightens anxiety. It can make even simple tasks feel overwhelming. The joy of eating fades. The motivation to move disappears. And soon, what began as a few days of solitude becomes a pattern of withdrawal that feels impossible to break. But here's the truth that too few seniors hear. You are still needed. Your stories still matter. Your presence still has power. Whether it's a neighbor, a grandchild, a local club, or an old friend, your voice, your wisdom, your laughter can be a lifeline, not just for others, but for yourself. Even a small act, a smile, a shared coffee, a walk with a friend, can reverse the aging effect of isolation. Your heart lifts, your eyes brighten, your body responds, because connection is not a luxury, it is survival. And yet, what if we told you that there's another threat even more underestimated than isolation? One that doesn't just shrink your world, but shrinks your very strength. One that, if ignored, can quietly take away your independence, your confidence, and even your ability to stand tall. Let's talk about what happens when we stop challenging our bodies, when we stop reaching, lifting, and resisting. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's keep going with point number 4. 4. Ignoring strength, not lifting anything heavier than a coffee cup. There's a quiet belief many seniors carry, one that whispers, "You're too old to be strong." It's a lie that settles in the joints, hides behind back pain, and disguises itself as caution. So you stop lifting, stop reaching, stop bending. You trade strength for safety, and without realizing it, you begin to fade. Not in years, but in power, in independence, in presence. Doctors call it sarcopenia, the natural loss of muscle that begins in your 60s and accelerates after 70. But what most people don't know is that doing nothing about it makes it far worse. The muscles shrink, balance falters, the body becomes fragile. Suddenly, getting out of a chair becomes a struggle. Climbing stairs feels like a mountain, and the fear of falling becomes a shadow that follows you everywhere. What's heartbreaking is how preventable this is. The body doesn't give up on you. It waits for a signal, a small challenge, a little resistance, a daily reminder that you still intend to live fully and move freely. Even the gentlest strength training, lifting a light weight, using resistance bands, or pressing against a wall, tells your muscles, bones, and joints, "We're not done yet." Ignoring strength is more than a physical loss. It seeps into your spirit. You start to rely on others for things you once did without thought, carrying groceries, opening jars, even standing from bed. That loss of independence can quietly chip away at your confidence, your identity, your pride. But when you challenge your body, just a little, just enough, it responds like an old friend. Muscles begin to rebuild. Posture improves. Breathing deepens. Energy returns. Seniors who practice strength training just twice a week show remarkable improvements in mobility, balance, and mental clarity. You don't just feel stronger, you feel more alive. Don't let fear rob you of the strength that still lives inside you. It's not about lifting heavy. It's about lifting yourself out of decline, out of limitation, and back into control of your life. Because once you begin to feel strong again, you remember what it means to feel capable. And from that place of strength, something else starts to matter, what you put into your body, because all the lifting in the world won't help if your fuel is failing you. So, what if the foods we trust, especially the soft, easy ones we rely on, are actually aging us from the inside out? Let's take a closer look. 5. Eating the soft food diet, starving the body of nutrients. In our later years, food becomes more than just nourishment. It becomes comfort, routine, sometimes even survival. After 70, many older adults begin shifting toward a softer diet. Mashed potatoes, toast, canned soups, pudding, white rice. These easy to chew, easy to digest options feel safe and familiar. But beneath their smooth texture lies a hard truth. These foods are slowly starving your body of the very nutrients it needs to stay strong, sharp, and alive. It's understandable. Dental issues, swallowing difficulties, or the simple exhaustion of cooking complex meals often push seniors toward convenient processed choices. But over time, this kind of diet becomes dangerous. Stripped of fiber, protein, healthy fats, and vital micronutrients, these soft foods do little more than fill the stomach while the body continues to wither in silence. What begins as harmless habits quickly accelerates aging. Your muscles shrink faster, bones become brittle, the skin loses elasticity, energy drops. Even the brain, hungry for healthy fats, B vitamins, and antioxidants, begins to lose clarity and focus. Seniors on nutrient-poor diets are at significantly higher risk for infections, cognitive decline, slow wound healing, and even depression. And here's the cruel irony. The very foods that feel easiest in the moment are often the ones that make daily life harder over time. You feel weaker, less stable, more forgetful. Your immune system doesn't fight like it used to. Your strength training efforts stall. Your sleep worsens. It's as if your body is trying to repair itself, but is missing the building blocks to do so. But it doesn't have to be this way. Eating well in older age isn't about chewing raw kale or preparing complicated meals. It's about choosing smarter, softer versions of real food, smoothies rich in berries and greens, soups with lentils and vegetables, mashed sweet potatoes instead of white bread, soft scrambled eggs with spinach, or oatmeal topped with walnuts and cinnamon. Food can still be gentle and deeply nourishing. You deserve meals that restore your energy, rebuild your body, and renew your spirit, because every bite you take is a message to your cells. Keep going, keep growing, I'm still living. But nutrition alone isn't enough. Even a strong, well-fed body can begin to fade when it no longer feels needed. And that brings us to the most dangerous habit of all, one that doesn't attack the bones or the muscles, but something far deeper, your sense of purpose. What happens when the reason to wake up in the morning begins to disappear? Let's talk about the quiet weight of losing meaning and how to get it back. 6. Living without purpose, the fastest path to decline. There is a quiet kind of fading that doesn't begin in the body, it begins in the soul. It happens when the calendar becomes blank, when mornings arrive without meaning, when days stretch on with nothing to look forward to. For many seniors, especially after 70, retirement and life changes can leave a person wondering, what am I still here for? The truth is sobering. Living without a sense of purpose is one of the most dangerous habits of aging, and perhaps the least talked about. Doctors and psychologists alike now recognize that a lack of purpose accelerates decline in profound ways. Seniors who feel they no longer serve a role, whether in their families, communities, or even in their own routines, experience higher levels of inflammation, increased rates of depression, more hospitalizations, and even shorter lifespans, not because of disease, but because of disconnection from meaning, from usefulness, from the core of what it means to be alive. You see, purpose is not just a poetic idea, it is a biological force. It fuels resilience, it sharpens memory, it regulates stress. When a person believes they still have something valuable to contribute, their brain chemistry changes. Dopamine and serotonin rise. Cortisol drops. The immune system strengthens. The body quite literally fights to stay alive when it feels it still matters. But when purpose slips away, after the kids are grown, after the career ends, after the spouse passes, something shifts. Appetite fades, sleep suffers, the world feels smaller, dimmer. You stop reaching out, you stop trying, and the body follows. This is not weakness, this is grief. Grief for a role once held, for a rhythm once followed, for the version of yourself that felt full of direction. And yet, the greatest lie of aging is this: that purpose has an expiration date. It doesn't. You are not done. Your wisdom is not used up. Your life still holds value, not just to others, but to you. Purpose doesn't have to be grand, it can be quiet. Maybe it's mentoring a younger neighbor. Maybe it's sharing your story with your grandchildren. Maybe it's planting a garden, writing a letter, or teaching someone what life has taught you. Sometimes, purpose is as simple as deciding that today you will be fully present, that you will care for your health, that you will move your body, eat well, call a friend, share a laugh, or simply choose to keep going with dignity. When you reconnect with purpose, even in the smallest ways, you reawaken something essential inside you, the will to live fully, not just exist. And perhaps most importantly, you become an example to others. You remind those around you, young and old, that aging is not the end of meaning. In fact, it can be the most meaningful time of all. Because in this stage of life, with fewer distractions and deeper insight, you now have the opportunity to live more intentionally than ever before, not in the shadow of your past, but in the light of your legacy. And while these 6 habits may seem simple, they hold the power to either preserve your life or slowly take it away. But what if there was one more truth no one told you? What if aging isn't something to fear, but something to master? Let's take one final look at how changing just a few choices now might give you not just more years, but better ones. It's not too late. The power to age with strength, purpose, and dignity still belongs to you. Aging is inevitable, but how we age is not. We often think of growing older as a slow downward slope, something out of our hands. But the truth, one that doctors, researchers, and wise elders know well, is that many of the struggles we face after 70 aren't just part of aging. They are the result of habits we've allowed to take root, habits that seem small, harmless, comfortable. But over time, they silently erode the vitality we spent a lifetime building. Sitting too long weakens the body. Poor sleep dulls the mind. Isolation numbs the heart. Avoiding strength training drains independence. Soft, nutrient-poor diets quietly starve us. And most devastating of all, living without purpose extinguishes the very fire that keeps us alive. Each of these habits works slowly. That's what makes them dangerous. There's no sudden pain, no alarm sounding, just small declines, a little more tiredness, a little more stiffness, a little more forgetfulness, until one day you wake up and realize the life you once lived has narrowed into something smaller, quieter, more fragile. But let me tell you something deeply important. It's not too late. No matter your age, your history, or your current limitations, the body and spirit are astonishing in their ability to recover if you give them the right signals. A 10-minute walk, a better night's sleep, a phone call to an old friend, a stretch, a story shared, a purpose reclaimed. These are not small things. These are acts of revival. These are choices that slow aging, extend independence, and bring light back into your days. This isn't about chasing youth, it's about protecting dignity, defending joy, reclaiming strength, not just in your legs and arms, but in your voice, your memories, your worth. You've lived too long, endured too much, and given too generously to spend these precious years fading into the background of your own life. So today, take stock. Which of these habits have crept into your life without notice? Which ones have become excuses or quiet companions you never meant to invite in? And most importantly, which one will you choose to change first? Because even a small shift made with intention can begin a new chapter. Aging doesn't ask for permission, but living fully is always a decision. And that choice still belongs to you. You are not done. You are not invisible. You are not powerless. You are still here. And that means there is still time. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with senior health tips. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.